You need to create an environment of excellence. Most people's environments are not excellent. The people around you, the videos that you watch, the things that are on your wall, the voices that are in your head. You have these moments that are bold, that are courageous, that make you feel unstoppable and you can do anything. And then you fall back down because the environment is the thing that's keeping you small. It takes a giant effort to overcome your environment. You definitely can. It's definitely possible. Tons of people are doing it. But it takes that giant effort to say, I don't want to stay stuck here. Most people stay stuck. Most people make minimal improvements in their life year over year. And if you don't want to stay where you are right now, fast forward to 1 year from today, you don't want to stay stuck. You want to be in a different place. Could actually be physically moving, but a different place in terms of your finances, in terms of your purpose. Like today, this is not acceptable anymore. I accept that this is where I am right now, but where I end up is not going to be the same spot as where I am right now. The biggest shift that will help you get from where you are now to where you want to be is creating that environment of excellence.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 on We Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because in my first business, I struggled to stay afloat. I quit on my business partner, and the thing that kept me motivated, that kept me going, was studying the stories of famous, successful entrepreneurs. And in their stories, it gave me the hope, the drive, the ambition, the thinking that maybe I can do it too, that extra bit of belief. And I still need their stories today, and I'm honored to share them with you here as well. So today you get to learn from me and my team's take on my top 10 rules for success. Enjoy.
What's the fastest way to learn a language? What's the fastest way to learn Japanese? Well, it's to go to Japan. Sure, you can read some books and you can hire a tutor, and the more intense it becomes, the more you're actually living it, the faster you're going to pick it up. So if you want to develop the mindset of the high achiever, if you want to become that person, the people that you look up to, the whoever of the world, like I want to be the next whoever, perfect, that person. The more you hang around with them, the more it's going to rub off on you how they think. Because how they think, how they act, how they behave, how they see the world is very different than how you see it right now, and how the people around you definitely see the world right now. So how do you do it? How do you start to become it? Well, I look at what I'm doing. And this was one of my biggest challenges when I was getting started, and honestly still in. Like I think the biggest problem in the world is a lack of belief. I'm trying to solve the world's biggest problem. People don't believe in themselves enough. I don't, you don't, Oprah doesn't. People don't believe in themselves enough for the next level. So how do you start to believe in yourself more? The thing that helped me the most was to have these successful people around me constantly. And so I want to share a few tactics that I think can really help you, that has really helped me as being the shy, introverted kid who never wanted to be in front of a camera and was making $300 a month and quit on my business partner and thought life was over, right? To now here. And it's taken me 20 years to get here. So hopefully we can shorten that path for you if you actually follow some of the advice in this video. So step number one, how do we create that environment of excellence? What you feed into your brain really, really, really matters. So figure out how you love to learn. For me, it's videos. I like to see things. I need to be visual. If that's you, then you need to have a way to have those videos coming into your life every day. It could be part of your morning routine. That's why I make this channel. Part of your morning routine. Subscribe to the channel every morning, every weekday. We got a new video out there for you to give you the shot of Espresso that'll help you. But if it's not my channel, it's some other channel, one of my other channels. Subscribe to the channels that make you feel bold, powerful, unstoppable, give you hope, give you belief in yourself. And then watch that video every day, or listen to that podcast every day, or read that book every day. The trick is it can't be the same book or the one video, because that one video on repeat is going to lose its effectiveness, right? You know it. You watch a video, it gets you all fired up, and then you watch it again the next day, and it's not as like, oh, what happened? I don't feel as good. And you watch it the next day, and the feeling's gone. So you can't just read the same book over and over, watch the same video over and over and over again. The key is to find a consistent source. So if you love this channel or you love this video, I'm making other videos just like this that you can subscribe to. If you like an author, go find their other books, or go find the people that inspire them so that you can read something every day. If you like a podcast, go find other podcasts like them so you have something every day. So you are manipulating what comes in your head with intention now. With intention. So you're not just scrolling through things like, I am going to watch one of these videos every day to slowly shift myself forward. Because it'll happen. If you love Elon Musk and you watch Elon Musk every day, what will happen is slowly, day by day, you will start to think like Elon Musk. It will happen. He will pull you forward. You will start to see the big difference in how he thinks versus how the people around you think versus how you think right now. And he will give you more courage and more boldness and more a sense of hope and purpose that you can do it too. You'll start to think more like him.
Rule number 2 is trust your ideas.
I'm the kind of person who likes to write things down. I'm the kind of person who has, when I have an idea, whether it's 2 in the morning or 3 at night or whatever it is, when I have an idea, I want to write it down. I feel like unless I can get it out of my head, and now I tend to just send myself an email or write it in Evernote, until I get it out of my head, I'm unsettled. I feel like I'm going to forget the idea. And it's something that I've wrestled with, this message of, maybe I'm just not going to write anything down, and the best ideas that I have will just continue to come back and come back and come back, and those are the ones that I should run with. And if I look at how many times I actually look over that Evernote file, it's pretty slim. And I feel like I kind of do it anyway, where the best ideas come back to me over and over again, and that's what I run with, but I haven't fully embraced it. Maybe it's out of fear of losing a great idea. And every now and then when I look through the notes, something does come back and I end up running with it. And I fear that I may have forgot it if I didn't write it down, and I could have missed a big chunk of a big project I'm working on. But maybe that's an irrational fear. I don't know. This is something that I want to play with more. I do know that when I was thinking about my one word of believe, that's been the foundation for this channel and a lot of the work that I do. When I first thought about it, I felt like it was too big. I felt like it wasn't the right one for me. I felt like it was hard to live up to. And the more I slept on it, the more time went on, the more I experimented with it, the more it felt right. And every passing day, that big idea just stuck with me more and more and more until I embraced it fully, and it became the basis of this channel and my website and all the work that I do. So I think there's something there. I feel like I don't do a good enough job on it, and I wonder if it might be worth an experiment for a week to not write anything down and just trust that the big ideas will stay there. That's an interesting one. I'm gonna think on that. I'm not gonna write it down, but I'm gonna think on that.
Rule number 3 is be persistent.
Most people don't get what they want because you don't follow through enough. You just don't follow through. It's based out of insecurity. You start and stop. You're afraid of hurting people's feelings. You're afraid of what they're gonna say about you. You're afraid they're gonna judge you. And we're afraid of having that L on our personal resume, and so we stop and try to do something else where we're seeing more immediate results. But if it's your goal, if it's your dream, you have to follow through. One of my favorite stories is with Brendon Burchard, and I went to speak at his event in Phoenix, and I knew of him, but I didn't know him at the time. It was his business partner that had me come out to his event and hired me to speak there, and that's where I met Brendon for the first time. And he asked me, hey, what are you working on? What can I help? What's next for you? And I said, well, I'm working on my book. And he said, I'd love to help. I'd love to give you some feedback on your book. Like, I am definitely down for that. Let's connect. And he asked me what my phone number was. And at the time I didn't have a phone. I didn't use a phone number. And I said, how about email? And he said, I'm not really good on email, but if that's the only way, then let's do email. So we exchanged emails, and I didn't hear from him, so I followed up and I said, hey, Brendon, thank you. Great event. Love to talk about the book like you suggested, and didn't hear back, and followed up a couple weeks later and didn't hear back, and followed up a couple weeks later, and then he said, oh man, thank you. I'm super swamped right now, but let's either come out to my place and we'll do a jam session, or I've got this event coming up, maybe you can come be there. I said, yeah, I'm down for either. Which one do you want to do? And didn't hear back, and then wrote a couple more messages and didn't hear back. And here's what's really important. In my head, every time I sent another email, I was questioning myself. I was judging myself, like, ooh, I don't want to bother him. Maybe I'm being too overwhelming. Maybe he doesn't actually want me to come out. Maybe I'm offending him. Maybe I'm not respecting him. Maybe I'm asking for too much.
that's the thought in my head before every email. Where in reality, he's just a busy guy. He had a lot of stuff going on. He had a launch that was happening that I wasn't even aware of, that he was planning behind the scenes. And so he's not crazy stressed out, but he just has a lot on his plate that he's dealing with. And it's hard to tell ourselves that. It's easier to default to the insecurity of maybe you're bothering, maybe you're asking too much, maybe you're not worthy, maybe you should move on. The event that he talked about me coming to was coming up, and I still hadn't heard back whether he wanted me there or not, or my book launch was coming up too. And I thought, I'm gonna send one more email. Just one more email, that's it. I'm gonna send one more email, and hopefully something happens. If not, then I'm done. And hopefully, he doesn't think I'm a loser or whatever. And he wrote back in the email and like, hey, sorry, man. Again, I'm not super great on email. I've just been swamped planning all these things. Yeah, come on out. Come out to the event. Speak at the event too. And that was his big event. That was, $30,000 to $50,000 a year mastermind to be a part of. That then I spoke on stage. That then at the event, after I spoke, I met with him and Dean Graziosi backstage for an hour over lunch and planned my entire book strategy. That then led to me getting invited to go to Brendan's house a couple days later and hang with him and Dean and Tom Bilyeu and Lewis Howes and Jay Shetty and Russell Brunson and all sorts of amazing humans who built giant businesses. All of that happened because I sent that one more email. Because I followed up and I followed up and I followed up and I followed up, and it wasn't that he hated me or that he thought I sucked or that I was being overwhelming or whatever. That I kept following up. It just had the persistence. There's a lot of opportunities that are in front of you right now that just are not happening because there's not enough follow-up. There's not enough persistence. Rule number 4 is focus on serving.
For imposter syndrome, honestly, there's two things that I'll do. One is remember who you're focused on serving, right? We're so worried about trying to be someone that we're not, and who might judge us and who might comment on your video or whatever. It was something nasty. But focus on who you're serving, who you are serving. Like somebody needs your message today. You've got a message, you've been through something, you have advice to share. Somebody needs that. And focus on who that person is. And it may not be 1 million people, it may just be 8 people who watch your video. But for one person, that might be your message might be the life-changing message that they need today. And so focus on that when you're out there creating. And 2, the other thing I find helpful is imagine you're talking to younger you. So when we get stuck in imposter syndrome, we think of, if you look at Angela, who's hosting her own show, like, well, but I'm not Larry King, or I'm not Oprah, or I'm not whoever. And we let that be the reason why we don't start. Whereas think about who you used to be. So for me, the most painful point in my life was 19 when I quit on my business partner. And so I go back to think, can I help 19-year-old Evan? If I was going to sit on a park bench and talk to 19-year-old Evan, would I have something that I could say? And yeah, of course I could help. I may not believe I can help 1 million people, but I believe I can help younger me. And same thing for you. You may not feel like you can help tons of people. You have imposter syndrome about that. But if you think back to who you used to be, think about who you were 5 years ago. You from 5 years ago would listen to you today. And they may not listen to Evan Carmichael or Oprah or whoever, but they'll listen to you. And so if you can have a message for younger you, well, there's millions of people who currently are younger you, and they're struggling, and they need you. And just, I don't know, just the way that is framed, for me, gets me out of my way and forces me to get into action mode. They're both an angle of service. I'm always going to lean on service. One is you're thinking about the people who you can help. And 2 is you think back to younger you and recognize that you could help younger you. And there are millions of people right now who are younger you, and they need your help. So it's time to go through.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there.
Rule number 5 is eliminate negative thoughts.
That negative voice inside your head that's telling you that you suck and you can't do it, that's not your voice. That's not actually your voice. That's not you telling yourself that you suck. That voice was planted there. That voice was put there by somebody else in your life, and probably early on growing up telling you that you can't do something. You were not born. You didn't come out of the womb and say, I suck. I can't do anything. No, you're playing, you're experimenting, you're finding joy, you're laughing, you're doing it. And then along the way, people tell you that you can't do it, that you should stop, that you should quit, that it's not going to work out, that you can't do it. And we've been so conditioned around that we take it on and we think it's our voice. When you come up with an idea, right? Just workshop this. You come up with an idea. It's like, oh, I'm gonna write a book. I'm gonna start a YouTube channel. I'm gonna launch this business. I'm going to whatever. You come up with your bucket list, your dream life, your vision board. You come up with a list of ideas, things that you think that you want to do, things that you feel confident that you'd love to create for yourself, right? Okay. What happens the next day? The next day, it's not even telling our friends. You know, I think we blame our friends and say, well, we tell our friends and they're going to be negative and they crap on our idea, and so we don't do it. Well, before that happens, we crap on our own ideas, right? You look at that list the next day and say, I can't do that. Who was I yesterday? This crazy person that I used to be yesterday who thought I could do that. It's ourselves telling ourselves that we suck. But the problem is we've taken on that voice and we think that it's us. That's not your voice. That is not your voice telling you that you suck. That is somebody else's voice that was planted in your head, that has been conditioned to be there, that we're so used to being there that we have taken on as our voice. It has become your identity. But it was not your voice. It was put there. It was a seed that was planted, that has been grown over time, and you need to rip that weed out. That is not your voice. You do not think that you suck. It's other people with low expectations who hate their own lives, who at some point went and tried something that did not work out for their life, and now nobody around them can have success because it makes them look and feel bad. And so they spend their time ripping other people down and apart. That's who planted that weed in your head. That might hit pretty hard. I hope it does. Because when that happens, if you can actually digest that, what ends up happening is you think, oh, whose voice is that? Whose voice is in my head? And that's great awareness, to know that it's not your voice, and then to identify whose voice it is. Who told you these things? Who made you feel this way growing up? And if you think about who that person is, if you can actually picture somebody, oh, that was Uncle Joe, or oh, that was my grade 3 teacher, oh, or that was my, the bully at school, whoever that person was. Now think about, okay, it's that person's voice, not you. That's already incredibly liberating. But then too, do you want to live that person's life? Like, think about that person. Probably they're not living a great life. They're not hitting their potential. They're not even happy with what they're doing. If somebody's spending their day tearing other people down, what kind of painful life does that person have to have when they go home? You don't want their life. If you don't want their life, then you definitely don't want their voice in your head anymore. Hopefully that creates an aha moment for you that starts to actually shift things, because we've been so conditioned to listen to that voice that we don't recognize that we actually have a choice to rip it out and start to listen to our own voice.
Rule number 6 is don't quit.
It's only a failure if you quit. It only counts as a failure if you stop. If you've got a big goal, a big dream, a big ambition,
and you want to chase it down, and it doesn't work out on the first try or the second try or the third try. If you keep going, eventually you'll figure it out. This is the path of all successful entrepreneurs. Like if you keep going, you keep putting one foot in front of the other, eventually it will work out. It's why a lot of entrepreneurs will preach patience, because most people quit too soon. Most people, they overestimate what they can get done in a short amount of time and underestimate what they can get done over a long amount of time, and they just quit too soon. You don't allow enough time for momentum to actually take hold. And so it's only really a failure if you stop. People ask me about my videos and my YouTube channel, and there's a couple angles on this. The first is how long it took me to get going. If you look at my growth on my channel, my homepage, you can see how long it took me to get going. It took 5 years and I still had 7,000 subscribers or something like that. And the only thing that I had going for me was that I just did not stop. I was introverted and shy. I still am. I didn't know how to make videos. I was very uncomfortable in front of the camera. I was completely embarrassed by my own stuff. The first 350 videos I couldn't watch back, couldn't watch myself back. I was too critical on myself, too embarrassed that I was putting this out, too hard on myself that it wasn't good enough and that I wasn't delivering value, and just nitpicking myself so many times on the videos that I just couldn't watch them back. 350 videos, public videos on my channel, before I was not just completely embarrassed by myself. And then 700 before I inspired myself. Like, oh, you know what? I'm like, that was pretty good. I have one that I'm happy with after 700 public videos. So most people just quit too soon. The only thing I had going for me, I didn't have the skills, I didn't have the personality, I was not funny, I didn't have the editing capabilities, I didn't have the camera, the technical capabilities. The only thing I had going for me was that I kept going. I had the heart, I wanted to serve, and I just kept going. I just kept creating. I just kept making. And now we're here. You know, started from the bottom, now we're here. Now we're here. But it took a long time to get going. And most people who probably have more natural abilities, more camera presence, more humor, more fun, they could have been way ahead of me. Not that it's a competition, but they could have had success. But they didn't, because they stopped. They quit.
Rule number 7 is apply the 595 rule.
If you want a guaranteed way to move into action, apply the 595 rule. Spend 5% of your time planning and 95% of your time doing. 5% planning, 95% doing. Most people are afraid to apply the 595 rule because you're afraid that you'll take the wrong action, that you'll make a mistake, that it won't be perfect. But here's what's gonna happen. While you are sitting there planning your perfect next move, someone with less talent, with less skills than you will win with a half-baked idea because they applied the 595 rule and just got started. And then don't think about it. Just go off and do it. Stop planning. That's the plan. The plan is done. Stop planning. Now do.
Rule number 8 is build cornerstone habits.
Is to get really clear on what the habit is that you want to develop. Don't pick 20 different habits that you would want to do all at once. This is where we struggle, because we take on way too much. Like, okay, that's it. I'm done. I'm rolling up my sleeves. It's time to change my life. I've had it. I've had enough. I'm going to change everything. I'm going to work out, and I'm going to eat well, and I'm going to make content. I'm going to grow my business. I'm going to find a girlfriend. I'm going to, like, whatever the thing is. You come with 20 different habits that you're going to do. And guess what? You do it tomorrow, maybe. And then it becomes too overwhelming, too much change all at once. Your life just takes over and you end up back down in the hole where you started. Has that happened? Have you tried to take on too much at once? What is the single most important habit that you need to start to build? That if you look back in a year, you could say, I'm so happy that I built this one habit because it's helping you accomplish your goals. What is the most important habit? It could be waking up at a certain time. It could be taking care of your mind. It could be taking care of your body. It could be putting in a certain amount of work on your business. It could be writing your book. It could be making 100 videos. Like, what is the one habit that you want to start to build that if that one thing happened, your entire life starts to change? It's the cornerstone habit. That you start doing that, because I guarantee you, listen, if you start waking up at a certain time, or you start working out, you can pick any of them. You start doing one of those things that you're proud of yourself for doing it. Other things start to change in your life around you. Because when you feel really proud of yourself, when you feel good about yourself, other things start to improve too.
Rule number 9 is join a community.
The reason why you're not following through is because you're doing it alone. When you wake up and you feel like you are by yourself, you are all alone, you have no community, you're not collaborating, you're not doing this with anybody else, it's just massively difficult to follow through. Still possible, absolutely. But this is the life of an entrepreneur. This is why so many great entrepreneurs don't follow through, and it breaks my heart because you've got talent, you've got a desire to serve and to help, and you know you have a story that matters, and you're just not as consistent as you know you could be. And it's not that you suck, it's just that you're doing it alone. This is something I've struggled with in terms of being a great resource for people, because I actually have a very low community need. I think the journey that I went through is almost impossible to model, because I just woke up every day and I still made videos and I still make content, and I did it by myself. And it's not prescriptive. It's really difficult to do it exactly the way that I did. Most people need more community than me. I still need it, but I have a really low, maybe it's just introverted or whatever, but I just don't need it as much as most people. You probably need more community. You probably are not following through because you feel isolated and alone. And the great promise of entrepreneurship is freedom, right? Like, you don't have to have a boss. You don't have to have employees that you hate or people on your team who you hate. You know, you get to pick everything you want. But then to go from having a job where you have community, even if you didn't enjoy the work you were doing, what you got from the job, if you've had one, is community. That you had coworkers, and you had some people who you did like, and you had people to go to lunch with, and you had just human connection every day, where as an entrepreneur you don't have that nearly as much or at all. And so it's very lonely, and it's really hard to do great work when you're lonely. So what's the solution? Like, okay, great. Yeah, you just tore my heart open, Evan. Now what do I do? How do I fix it? Well, first is just recognizing that is a problem. First is recognizing that there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're amazing. The only problem is you just don't have anybody that you're collaborating with, that you're doing this by yourself. So the answer is we need to now go and find other people to collaborate with.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is kick forward.
I think comparison to other people is fantastic. I think most people just do it wrong. You look at somebody else, you see their life, you see what they're doing, you see their business, you see their success, you see how old they are. Is one of the common questions people ask. Well, how old are you? Well, typically it's because they want to judge their own progress against yours. The comparison can be great, but you have to use it as a kick forward instead of a kick down. Most people will kick themselves down. They realize that you haven't done much. You realize that you're not where you want to be. You realize all these other people have done it with maybe less resources than you, at an earlier age than you, and you feel like it's over and you can't do it. That's a kick down. It's a comparison, it's a kick down, and that's what most people do. And that's why there's so much advice out there from people saying, don't compare yourself to others. Because when we do it, we typically kick ourselves down. That's the wrong way to do it. The comparison to other people comes from knowing what's possible and being inspired to want to go off and do it. I just came back from a trip with my beach gang, and it's some big name people. It's Brendan Burchard and Mel Robbins and Lewis Howes and Jay Shetty and all these big people who've done big things. And we sit around the table and we share and we help, and it's our own mastermind. It's not a paid thing. It's where they go and we all share. And as they're talking, as they're sharing what they're up to and what they're working towards, I'm thinking that's what's possible. That's what I could do if I wanted to. That's how they're doing their marketing. Okay, if I could do this, and maybe they're 3 years ahead of me, but by learning their strategies, I can get there in 6 months. The comparison pushes you forward. Runners run faster when there's somebody next to them. Businesses innovate faster when there's competition. Comparing yourself to who you were yesterday is not enough of a push forward. That's the problem. Comparing yourself to who you were yesterday is great for self-love, but it's not enough of a push. So I'd encourage you to start thinking about an audit for yourself right now. If you're really low, if there's no self-love, if you don't feel like anything is possible, that's where you look back and you look at the progress. That's when you look back and say, where was I 5 years ago? Where was I 10 years ago? Look at how much you've grown and learned and improved and how much in a better situation you are compared to where you used to be. Even if it's not financially, just mindset, just mentally, just the kind of person you are, how you treat people, you've probably grown. If you're watching this channel, it means you're into personal growth, self-development. So whether it's from my videos or somebody else's content, you've been learning and growing over the past 5 years. You've grown a lot. You're not the same person you used to be. You're a lot more proud of yourself than who you used to be. And whenever you're feeling low on yourself, that's when you look back and track the progress. That's when you look back and see who you used to be and how much you've grown and improved and gotten better. And that can start to fill you up again. But when you're ready for growth, when you're ready for ambition, when you're ready for the next level, I think the comparison is fantastic. I think to know that something is possible, it's the whole Roger Bannister 4-minute mile. Nobody thought it was possible. Then Roger Bannister did it, and now everybody's doing it. Not everybody, but a lot of people did it. Why? Because they were comparing themselves to him, because they know now that it's possible. And so when you see somebody else do it, when you see somebody else making amazing things, you don't have to default to say, I suck because they're doing it and I'm not. That's a kick down. You can choose to use it as inspiration to say, that's what's possible. And if she can do it, if he can do it, then so can I. And use that as the push to get you to the next level. At our beach gang last year, I got challenged a couple times. I got challenged by Brendan, I got challenged by Russell Brunson, I got challenged by a whole bunch of people. And I got challenged without people even talking to me sometimes, just by them sharing their story. I look at that and say, I want to do that. Not in the way that I suck and I can't do it, but no, in a year, I want to be there. In 2 years, I want to be there. In 5 years, I want to be there. I want to be there. I want to be there. I look at young Les Brown, I think he's the greatest speaker of all time. I don't look at him and say, he's so much better than me. He's got this natural gift. I suck. I'm never going to do it. I look at him and I say, I want to be that good. That's what's possible. It's an inspiration to move forward. So, how do you make it tactical? There's a couple things that I think would be helpful for you. One, look at some people who you respect, inside your industry or outside your industry. It's just something that you respect about them. Maybe it's me, maybe it's Jordan Peterson, maybe it's Oprah. Who are the people that you look up to and respect? What are the things, so two, what are the things about them then that you want to get better at? If you respect somebody, it's because they're ahead of you at something that you want to be good at. Maybe it's in their business, maybe it's in their speaking, maybe it's in their relationships. They've done something or they're living a way that is ahead of you. So what is that thing? Two, what is that thing? What is the thing that they have that you are aspiring to get better at? There's no one person who is the ideal mentor. You don't want to be me. You don't want to be Jordan Peterson. You don't want to be Oprah. I have parts of my life that you don't want. The whole point is to take different pieces from different people to make the best you. You want to, for me, I want to be a visionary like Steve Jobs. That's why he's on my wall. And I want to be a father like my father was. That's why he's on my wall. I don't want to be a father like Steve Jobs was, and I don't want to be a visionary like my dad. Because they're not. So you're taking different people and different things from them to help you become the best you. So one is you're making a list of all the people that you look up to, that you respect, that there's something about them that you gravitate towards. Two, you find that specific thing. I wanna have courage like this person. I wanna have love like this person. I wanna be a husband or a wife like this person, right? I wanna be a mother or father like this person. That they're the ideal to shoot towards, that improve you, to make you wanna strive to get better. And then three, you dive into their story. You dive into their content. You dive into their videos, their books, their podcasts, their biographies. You dive into them on a consistent basis. Watching one video is not enough. It's a consistent basis to help you start to think like that. Somebody asked me yesterday, why do you read so many books at a time? I read 7 to 10 books at a time. I never really thought about why I do it. It just seemed to work for me. But as I dissect it, I love microdosing on books. I love microdosing on content. Because think about what happens when you read a book. So one of the books I'm reading right now is Jay Shetty's Think Like a Monk. So when you're reading Jay Shetty's book, it forces you to start thinking like a monk. It forces you to have more presence and more gratitude and more mindfulness. And if you're going to read some hardcore, another book I'm reading is 75 Hard from Andy Frisella, which is in your face, hardcore, punching you in the stomach, yelling at you, let's go. two totally different vibes. I like both. I don't want to be Jay Shetty. I don't want to be Andy Frisella. But I like the mindfulness and presence of Jay Shetty, and I like the aggressiveness and push of Andy Frisella, and in that combination is Evan Carmichael. So why I read 7 to 10 books at a time is because the microdosing of the books, when you're reading a book, if I only read Jay Shetty's book, I'd become very mindful, very grateful, very present, and then I put the book down and I pick up a different book, and then what you start to do is lose the train of thought. You lose the thing that you learned from Jay, unless you're picking up another Jay Shetty book, but he's only got one out right now. So instead of going hardcore and just reading one book, I like having Jay Shetty once a week. I like having Andy Frisella once a week. I like in the videos that I make to have different people. We have Jordan Peterson once a month, and Elon Musk once a month, and Oprah once a month. Because diving deep on one person can be great, but what happens on the ongoing? I'm much more concerned about the ongoing than I am about the what's happening intense at the moment. Because the ongoing is how you win. If you want to have success in anything, going to the gym and working out for 4 hours is not going to do much for you. But if you go to the gym every day for half an hour, you start to see results. So all of that, a bunch of stories in there, but the main concept is, I think comparison is fantastic. You just have to use it smartly. When you look at somebody else, understand that you don't want their entire life. You don't want their entire life, but there's something about them that they're better than you at, and use that as inspiration for you to get better instead of you telling yourself that you suck and you can't do it. Comparison will push you forward. Comparison will help you get the life that you want, as long as you're kicking yourself forward, not down. The difference between a great day and a mediocre one is your intention. How did you decide to show up today? Most people have no intention. Most people, you wake up, you check your phone, you're falling into other people's emergencies, other people's demands on your time, what everybody else wants for you to do today, right? Everybody's got an agenda. Everybody's got an opinion on what you should do with your life. You open your phone, there's all sorts of other people's emergencies for what you should be doing, right? Their emergencies become your priorities because you don't have intention in the day. Where when you flip it, when you start to say, no, I am going to take control of my day, take control of my life, and start to live with intention, everything starts to shift. The most important part of my morning routine is intention. Every day, here's what I do. I wake up, I am tired, I'm groggy, I'm like, forget what day it is, forget what year it is, forget who I am. I wake up, I got stuff in my eyes, I got lines on my face, so, I'm groggy. I don't wake up excited and like, yeah, my God, let's go. We're filming content today. I have to remind myself of what I'm doing. And as I walk to the bathroom, I'll usually put on a song. And in the morning, usually I have some oldies playing because it just makes me happy. So I'll put on some oldie and I'm going to the bathroom and I find myself just starting to dance a little bit, which is great because the motion starts to change things. If you put on songs that make you happy, that make you moving, it's going to start to shift your entire day. And music is the fastest way to change your state. And then as I'm going to the bathroom, it might be too much detail, I'll then look at my calendar.
I'll look at my calendar and I'll say, how do I want to show up? What's my intention for today? What is my intention for today for how I want to show up for whatever's in my calendar today? And today is a Tuesday. Tuesdays are when I make videos. I don't know when this is going to be released, but what's my intention this morning? I look at my calendar. I see I've got a bunch of YouTube videos that I'm going to make today. I'm going to go with Nina and she's going to run some errands and I'm going to film from the car. And I want to make content that matters. I want to make something that matters today. I want to make something that's going to inspire somebody today. I want to make a video that touches somebody's life today. I want to make potentially the best video I've ever made today. I want to speak some truth into the camera. I want to touch somebody's soul in the content that I'm making. That's my goal for today. You think that changes how you show up? Right? It's like, as opposed to just, oh, I'm going to make some videos today. Okay, cool. Let's go do that. That process doesn't have to take an hour in the morning, right? That process is while I'm going to the bathroom, right? It takes a minute, not very long, but it shifts everything because it changes how you show up for the entire day. I've also got on the background of my cell phone, the background says, remember your intention. As a trigger, so anytime I load my phone, I can see that. Between videos, when I press stop and I'm loading the next one, I see the background of my phone again. Remember your intention. Like, yeah, what was my intention this morning? Because even if you set it up in the morning, it doesn't mean the whole day is going to be amazing. Something's going to throw you off. You come back to your intention. What was my intention today? And it works for being your business goals. It works for accomplishing your business goals. It works for your personal goals. On Saturdays is my fun day. And I'll usually plan something to do with my wife, Nina, and maybe it's a hiking trip, maybe it's we're gonna go out and try out a new restaurant. Like, it's fun. It's not chores, it's not tasks, it's not business. It's just something for us to do. So the intention showing up is different. What's my intention today? Well, my intention is to be the best husband I can be. And what does that mean? Like, not just words, but you're trying to feel it. What does that mean? I want to have a great day with Nina. I want to make her smile today. I want to make her laugh today. I want to be present today. I want to not be frustrated by some little thing that happens. I don't want to be sucked into anything on the work side. I don't want to be daydreaming about business. I want to be thinking about my life with Nina. I want to be daydreaming about where we're going to go together as a couple, right? And the words will change, but even now just saying that puts me into a different mindset. I got to bring it back to, I want to make killer videos for you guys. We just don't have intention. You know, we know we want more. You know you want more. You know you want more to life. You know you want to accomplish more. You know you want to be more. You know you want to serve more. And that's a great feeling, but we don't hold on to it long enough to actually do something with. And we'll usually think of that, I want to do more. I know I'm capable of more. And use it to beat ourselves up, to say, well, look, I didn't do it. I should have done it last week. I should have started last year. I was too afraid to do it. We just beat ourselves up and blame ourselves for not doing more, as opposed to using that intentionality to then create a better life for ourselves today. And it starts with today. It starts with today, like right now. The rest of today can be different if you chose to, with intention, show up. So how do we do it? How do we do it today? How do we do it ongoing? Because if you woke up with intention for the next year, holy cow, does your life look different? Step number one is create the environment of intentionality. And why that matters is because it allows it to happen on repeat, automatically, without you having to think about it. Because as soon as you move it to conscious, there's that step, there's that barrier, there's that block where when it's unconscious and automatic, you're much more likely to do it. So the environment, right? So my office, if you see my office, I got the pictures on the wall, they all mean something to me. I walk past in the morning, I walk past my mannequin I have a mannequin in my office, or on the way to the office, of me wearing the hoodie, because superheroes have mannequins of people wearing their outfits, and it fires me up, it gets me going. I have the music, right? Put music for how you want to feel, not for how you currently are feeling. If I put music for how I currently was feeling in the morning and I'm just tired and just waking up, it'd probably be some slow, meditative, calm, birds chirping, waterfall kind of stuff, which there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not how if I ask myself, how do I want to start my day? It's not with birds chirping and waterfalls, it's with something that gets me moving. Because what I'm missing the most is fun. I'm not feeling fun and energetic in the morning. And so I need that. But when I put on The Lion Sleeps Tonight, or when I put on Run Around Sue, or I put on Respect, Aretha Franklin, when I put on, any of these oldies, I just start moving. I start dancing, start singing at the top of my lungs. And that gets me going in the morning, right? So the more you can have these habits and these triggers in the morning to get you set up, so that when you're looking at the intention of the day, you're already in the right frame of mind, okay? Because if you don't have the right mindset going in, no matter what your intention becomes, it's really hard to get it actually firing, right? Because you can tell yourself, I want to have a great day, but if all you're thinking about is how slow everything is and how crappy your life is, how you're not further ahead and how tired you are, you could say the words, but it won't land as strongly. So the environment really matters. Step 2 is you have to look at your calendar and see what's ahead and come into it with intention. How do you want to show up for all the things that are in your life today? What's on your calendar? And schedule things in, right? Like create a calendar that maps to your ambition. Your calendar should be a macro reflection of your intention. Your calendar is an intentional life. What's in your calendar should be a reflection of what you want out of your life. So look at your calendar. This is a great weekly exercise to do. Look at your calendar and then see what in your life, what in those spots actually will let you live the life that you want. So you say you want to be a YouTuber, you say you want to be an entrepreneur, you say you want to be a great husband or wife, you say you want, great, show me in your calendar where you have dedicated time to make that intention happen. Because if it's just a hope and it's never scheduled in, guess what? It never happens. I'm filming content today on a Tuesday because it's in my calendar, because that's part of an intentional life for me, where if I waited to get inspired to do something, I would make not a lot of content, right? Most of your goals are not in your calendar, and so they never get done. There's a tweetable, most of your goals are not in your calendar, so it never gets done. So intentional life is putting things in your calendar. An intentional day is in reminding yourself in the morning of what you want to do, is how you show up. So when I'm showing up to make videos, I already explained the process that I go through. But then at night, when I'm gonna have time with Nina, it's different, right? I'm not thinking about YouTube videos anymore, I'm thinking about my time with Nina. So an intentional life in your calendar, and then in the morning, an intentional day. Just look at your calendar and say, here's what I need to do today, here's how I need to show up. Because again, if you planned your week on a Sunday and planned it all out, looks great, you're gonna wake up on a Wednesday and then forget why you set that as your goal and not show up with the same intentionality anymore. So the morning reset for intentionality matters. And then step 3 is triggers. So step 1 is having the environment and the routine. Step 2 is planning out intentionality in your life, which is your calendar, and on a daily basis when you wake up. And then step 3 is the triggers to bring you back when you need to. So my biggest trigger is on my cell phone. My biggest trigger is remember your intention, so that anytime I check my phone, I see that as a reminder to myself of the person that I said I was going to be today. The other thing that really helped make a big shift in my day-to-day life is I schedule things in 25-minute increments. So I'm doing interviews, I'm doing calls, I'm doing whatever's in my calendar is in 25 or 55-minute increments before I go to the next thing. I have a 5-minute buffer before going into the next thing. So if I'm doing interviews, Thursday is my interview day, boom, 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 25 minutes back to back to back to back to back to back. The occasional 55 minutes before the next thing. And I would do it initially just as a buffer for timing. So in case something went over, in case I had to figure out some tech gear, or in case I had to go to the washroom or whatever, I had a 5-minute break in between as a buffer. But the happy accident that came as a result of it is I use it as a little intentionality break for the next thing. So yesterday when I'm mentoring my team, if I'm talking to Jeremy for 55 minutes and then I have Alex coming up next, that 5-minute break. In the morning, it's going to be, how do I want to show up for my team? It's mentoring day. I want to show up. I want to be present. I want to guide them. I want to help them grow and learn and be inspired. I want to be the best leader I can be. I want them to come away from today inspired, motivated, ready for action, fill them with courage and belief, right? That's the morning. That sets the tone for the whole day. But in the break between Jeremy and Alex, that 5 minutes, I'll use a minute or two of it to set the intention for the next one. I just came from Jeremy, I'm going to Alex. How do I want to show up for Alex? And it may just be repeating the same thing that I came up with this morning, Or there might be some nuance, there might be something different. There might be something unique about Alex that I want to remind myself of before going into that call with him. So the daily reminders of the intention, the daily triggers, one is a cell phone background, remember your intention. And two is having the break, the 5-minute break between switching tasks to set myself up for the next task. I remember why I'm doing that specific one. The intention matters. You know, again, we wake up and it's so easy to fall into somebody else's plan for us. It's so easy to look at our texts or look at our emails or look at social media and feel like we're already behind and we already owe so many other people in our lives our time, and we don't control our day. And you have to put up some walls around where you're spending your time. And you have to start your day with intentionality to say, this is the life that I want, and I'm doing the activities that move me towards my goals. And the more that I am intentional, the more that I am present, the more I will actually start to accomplish those things. You have so much greatness in you. You have so much heart and so much care and so much soul and so much of a desire to do good and serve and help. And yet for some reason at the end of the week, it just didn't happen this week again. And then it didn't happen again this week again. The difference is creating an intentional life for yourself and then reminding yourself daily and throughout the day of what that intention is. You don't need any more money or any more support or anything else beyond what you already have. You have everything you need to win. The only difference between now and where you could be in a year is how much are you going to show up with intentionality every day to move closer to your goals.
Where does smarts or where does hard work play a factor in whether it's building a business, being successful online as an influencer, or whatever it may be?
I think intellectual ability has very little to do with success as an entrepreneur. I think if you're saying working smart versus working hard, that might be something a little bit different. But if having a high IQ was the thing that made the difference, then every university professor would be super rich. And they're not. And most of them suck at being entrepreneurs. And so IQ, I think IQ maps very poorly actually to entrepreneurship. When I was in the VC business, we were raising $500,000 to $15 million for companies. If somebody gave us their business plan and you flip to the team part of it and they had a PhD on their name, that would count as a strike against them. Like, ooh, their PhD.
Yeah. Ooh.
Like no street smarts.
That's a big statement. Yeah.
Like it's a strike against them. It's against them. Where in the typical world where you're hiring people like, oh, I got PhDs on my team, you think they're super smart. But in the entrepreneur world, and I didn't set this rule. I was 22 years old. I was just kind of following the model. That's what VCs were saying, right? These guys who are in their 60s or 70s and built giant companies and invested in tons of companies. You had a PhD, it was a strike against you. So there's very little, if there is a correlation, it might be a negative one for PhDs or super smart people becoming successful entrepreneurs. Working hard is a prerequisite for anything in life that you want to get. Working hard is your ticket into the game. It doesn't guarantee you're going to get a home run. It doesn't guarantee you're going to win, but you don't win without working hard, period. There's lots of people who work hard and never win. There's lots of people who, I think of people in my family who have jobs, who work crazy hard at their jobs and don't get, paid super, super well for it. So you can work really hard and never go off and achieve your goals. But just working smart isn't enough.
Doesn't count.
I think what smart people do is often find really smart reasons why they can't win. Like, I can't win because of this.
Your purpose comes from your pain. The thing that you struggle the most with as a human being is what you want to help other people through for the rest of your life. Something terrible happened to you. At some point in our lives, something terrible happened to me, happened to you. Nobody gets through this life trauma-free. Something terrible happened to you. And that terrible thing will define you in one of two ways. Either that was negative and that story haunts you and holds you back and
fills you with all these limiting beliefs, or you recognize that that thing that happened to you is the ultimate gift, and that your purpose now becomes to help other people not struggle the same way that you did. When you can transform that giant pain that you had, emotional pain, when you felt the most worthless as a human being, into something powerful and positive, because it's now not just about you anymore, it's about serving and helping others who are like you, that's when everything changes. My purpose is to help entrepreneurs believe in themselves more, because the worst day of my life, the worst moments in my life were when I was in my first business and I quit on my business partner. And I had no belief. I was down on myself. I felt worthless. I felt I was working every day and just nothing was working out. And what do I do? What do I do? And I quit on my business partner. I quit because it was just too much work, too much stress, too much negative thoughts, too much just lack of self-worth, not enough belief. And I woke up the next day and I went back to work because I did not want to live with the regret. And I actually had a voice of Oprah in my head telling me, just find a different way to stand. You know, if it's not working out, it's okay. Don't quit. Just find a different way to stand. And I eventually made it through. We built the company, sold it. I've had other successes, but the thing that fills me up forever is helping other entrepreneurs who are trying to believe in themselves, because that's back to who I was. And I still make the content for 19-year-old Evan because there are millions of people out there right now who currently are 19-year-old Evan. And so one of the most helpful things that you can do is try to figure out a couple things. One, what was that most painful moment? Like, how do we turn this into practical? A lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of you watching this channel, you are positive, you are energetic, you are enthusiastic, you are pouring into other people. You're probably the most optimistic person, most dream-filled person in your circle. And that's amazing. And that's a gift. And you should keep doing that. And you still have lots of moments where you don't believe in yourself, where you don't have the courage that you need, you don't have the boldness that you need. And we don't like looking backwards. You don't like looking to the painful moments. The entrepreneurs, ambitious, positive people, it's like, I don't want to think about all the negative things that happened to me. I want to go off and build this thing. I don't want to stay stuck in negativity. Is that you? Can you relate? But it's important to think about that most painful moment, not to sit there and live there and say, oh, woe is me, but to recognize that there are millions of people right now who currently are still struggling with that thing that you have overcome. Even if you're not done growing, learning, improving yet, that thing that you struggled with, that you're coming through, many millions of people right now, today, are struggling with that thing. And they need you. They need your hope. They need your voice. They need your message. They need your inspiration. You can reach those people in a way that Evan Carmichael can't, that Oprah Winfrey can't, that other people can't, because you experienced it. And I and Oprah haven't. So step number one is to think about, what is that most painful moment that you struggled through, that you wouldn't wish on anybody else? Step number two then becomes, well, how did you get out of it? You know, again, you're not done climbing, but you're way better off than you used to be. It's funny how we criticize ourselves for not being further ahead. Like, I should be up here. If I followed that idea, I'd be over here by now. All these other people are doing all these amazing things, and I'm still feeling like I'm stuck. Okay. But also look at how far you've come, right? You know, you want to keep climbing, growing, swimming, etc., but you've come a long way compared to who you used to be. And every now and then we need to pause, reflect, pat ourselves on the shoulder, say, you know what? I'm way further ahead than I used to be. Do you from 5 years ago or 10 years ago would look at the you today and say, holy cow, I can't believe you've done that, right? Evan from 10 years ago, who had, 1,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, would look to Evan now and say, oh my gosh, that's crazy. I can't believe you did that. Even though right now I'm thinking, I got to do more. I got to be better. Got to work harder. Got to go faster. Got to come with new ideas. I'm not pushing enough, right? If you look back, man, there's been some tremendous growth. You've grown a lot. And so how did you get out of the hole that you were in? How did you stop struggling as much? You probably tried a million different things, but there's one or two or three things that worked. That's teachable. That's teachable to other people. The thing that saved me was modeling success. I looked at Bill Gates' story and I modeled that for myself, and my software company then started to have success. So what have I taught for the past 20 plus years now is how can other people model success? So how did you get out of the hole that you were in? And then how can you then teach that to other people? Because they're struggling. Because all of the tests and tries and attempts and failures that you went through to find the 1, 2, 3 things that worked, you can now shortcut somebody else's path. This is what I think it means to max out your humanity. This is what I think it means to live in what Jonathan Fields calls maximum sustainable generosity. It's like, how can you keep giving in a sustainable way that fills you up? Because you don't want to just do things for you. Humans are built to serve. It's wired inside you. You want to feel like you matter, like today matters, like the work you're going to do today is going to be meaningful to somebody. And the people you love helping the most are the ones who are currently struggling with the thing that you struggled with. So figure out what that thing is, that most painful moment in your life that you never want to go back to. And then how did you get out of the hole? Now that is teachable. And then step number 3 is having the courage to share your story. I get it. It's scary. It's difficult. It's hard to put yourself out there, to share what you went through, the struggles. You may be afraid of how you're going to be judged or seen. You know, today you were just a normal person, and now tomorrow you're going to put this out there. Now maybe you're scarred or you're tarnished. But it's important because by you staying silent, it perpetuates the silence. By you being afraid to share your story, everybody else who's struggling with the same thing that you're struggling with, they feel afraid too. They feel like they don't belong. They feel like they're weird and not accepted and not normal. By you putting out your story and what you went through and are still going through, it gives the permission to other people to feel like they have somewhere that they belong, that they are normal, that they're going to be okay too, that they're not alone. So you sharing your story, I used to really struggle with thinking, well, only egotistical maniacs share their story and talk about themselves, right? It's about serving. Well, hold on. By you sharing your story, it is actually serving. You're not sharing your story just to have the spotlight on you, just to say how amazing you are. You're sharing your story because you're hoping that other people can see themselves in you, because your purpose comes from your pain. You're trying to reach the people who currently are who you used to be. And in looking at you and hearing you and what you've come through and where you are now, that will serve as inspiration for them to keep going, or for them to even get started, or for them to not take their life today because they saw your video, or they read your book, or they saw the post you put on social media. Sharing your story is not about you. Sharing your story is about impacting others. And they can see themselves in you where they can't see themselves in Evan Carmichael or Oprah Winfrey or insert, whatever expert, guru, or entrepreneur. You have to figure out what that most painful moment in your life was. You have to understand how you got out of the hole, because it's teachable. And then you have to share your story and put the message out there, because your story will change somebody's life. Ultimately, your purpose comes from your pain. You want to serve, you want to help, you want to feel like today matters, you want to feel like when you show up to do the thing that you're going to do today, it's going to have an impact, maybe not on millions of people's lives, but on at least one person's life. If you felt like today you were going to touch in a deeply meaningful, profound way at least one person's life, you're going to show up totally differently than if you felt like today doesn't matter, that nobody cares, and just forget about the day. I love you. I want to see you win. Let's make it happen.
You have a single most important core value, and when you figure it out, your entire life changes. If you feel like you're being pulled in a million different directions, you're walking on quicksand, everybody wants something from you, you're hot and cold, you want to do something one day and then you don't the other day, you have a hard time saying no to people and to opportunities, and you're just being pulled in 1,000 directions. Does that sound familiar? Does it sound like you? If that's you, you don't know what you stand for. Because when you know what you stand for, all decisions become easier. I wrote 2 books on this, Your One Word and then Built to Serve. And at the core of both of them is figuring out what do you stand for? What is your single most important core value? And when you can name it, when you can label it, when you can get to the root of it, What it does is give you clarity for the rest of your life. Mine is belief. My one word is belief. I want to believe in myself more, and I want to spread belief to the world, and to the people around me. It's why I make all these videos. I make them for myself because I need to learn, and I want to be around the best. I want to be around people who inspire me to believe more in myself, and I try to spread that to the world. It becomes a filter through which I see the world. It becomes the filter through which my best self operates. Whenever I don't know what to do, whenever I'm given an opportunity, whenever I might be pulled in a 1,000 different directions, what do I run that through is, well, believe. What would the believe version of Evan do? What would he do? And then that just makes it easier. Boom, decision made. Easier. If you look at my YouTube channel, people say, well, you do all these top 10 rules and you do all these inspiring videos, it's great. Why not do top 10 of the stupidest things this person said? Or top 10 reasons why not to follow this person? If I did that, if I went negative on Kanye West or Donald Trump or whoever, those videos would actually do better. You know, this is where it gets really tough. This is where it really comes down to what do you stand for and how much do you stand for. Because when you can get to the core of who you are, that becomes a lot easier. Because making those videos, if I was to slam people, would do better. People would much rather watch negative videos than positive. People would much rather laugh at somebody else than educate themselves. It's just how we are. We'd rather watch Big Brother and watch reality TV shows and people tearing each other apart. You know, you can't look away from a car accident or a fight on the street. We have this thing inside us where we like seeing other people not doing well because that's how we feel better about ourselves. When you see somebody else struggling, see someone else's terrible life on TV, it makes you feel better about yourself. So we have this insecurity inside all of us. And so those videos would do better. Our top 10 stupidest things Kanye West has said would get more views, would make me more money, would lead to more subscribers, would lead to all the metrics that you would probably look at, right? You know, if I look at, well, what are my goals? Well, I want more subscribers, more views, more comments, more revenue. Like, it would help all of that. But it's anti-belief. I feel gross. I don't want to put that content up. I don't want to put up content slamming people. It's not who I am. It's not what makes me come alive. And this is where you could do it for a short amount of time and then you're going to start to burn out because you start to hate your life because you're doing work that is just against who you want to be. You look at Dave Hollis. He's got his one word of captain. Great. So what does a captain do? Captain goes through choppy waters. Captain is built for the rough seas. So if he's ever stuck thinking about, should I do this or not? Well, what would a captain do? And then boom, answer. So figuring out your one word, figuring out that most important core value, what it does is give you a roadmap for the rest of your life. And it never gets old. I will never stop believing in myself and others and wanting to continue to inspire. Dave Hollis will never stop wanting to be the captain. And you need to figure out what yours is, because that gives you direction, again, for the rest of your life. So how do we do it? What are some of the tactics? What are some of the tricks that you can use? Because I think this is one of the most important exercises you can ever do in your life. Understanding what you stand for as a human, it's not taught, in schools. It's not taught in textbooks. Most of the people who've taught you in schools, they're not happy with the direction of their life either, right? Like as you start to get older, when you're a kid and you look at your parents and adults, you feel like they got it all figured out, they have the answers, and then you realize they have no idea what they're doing. Like they're barely hanging on themselves. The teachers who taught you about, life in school, they're not happy with their own life. They haven't figured this out either. But I think it's one of the most important things that we can learn. So again, I have 2 books on it. Your One Word, Built to Serve. If you want to go deeper, those are great resources. But you start with, what are some of the things that make you come alive? Who was your favorite teacher growing up? What movies did you love growing up? What did you love about how your parents raised you? Even if you hate your parents, was there anything that you can pull out that you loved? And what you're doing is looking at what are some of the things that tie these things together. So if you had to write, this is the exercise I do with people, Okay, tell me your favorite movie and 3 words to describe it. Tell me who your favorite teacher was and 3 words to describe them. Think about your favorite teacher growing up, favorite coach, your favorite mentor. It's not because they taught you grade 8 science, right? It wasn't the material they taught you. They made you feel better as a human. They taught you how to be a better person. Why? What did they do? I was talking to a woman yesterday, coaching her through this process. We did an Instagram Live together. She's part of my Movement Makers program and just passed a year being in the program. So we did a live together and she wanted to go through this exercise. How do I find my one word? And her favorite teacher growing up wasn't a teacher, but was her coach. She was a track coach. And one of the things that she loved about the track coach was he would get in and do it with her. So whenever she was tired, whenever she wanted to quit, whenever she didn't feel good enough, he wouldn't just give her words, but he would do it with her. He'd say, okay, I'll do the last one with you, race me. And he would run alongside her. So as you think about it, what was your favorite teacher growing up? Who was it and why? Write down some descriptive keywords. And what you'll find is if you do that with who your favorite mentors are, who your favorite teachers are, what your favorite books or videos are, look at my channel, all the people we profiled, and who are the people that you resonate with the most. If you love me, what are 3 words about Evan Carmichael that you love? You love Dave Hollis. What are 3 words that describe Dave Hollis? You know, all the good things that you love, that make you feel alive and bold and confident and serving and wanting to help. All those things are connected, but they don't feel connected. This is the problem. This is the connective tissue work that you have to do. This is where we never learn these things. The things that you love are not just random occurrences, they're connected. When you write them down, the descriptive keywords, you'll see a trend that happens between them. So for me, it's believe. My favorite movie is Seabiscuit. It's about a horse that's too small and a jockey that's too big and a team owner that's going bankrupt, and somehow they come together, find each other, and win all of these races, and it's based off a true story. And they go and beat the well-funded, you know, the team that has the perfect jockey and the giant horse and the tons of money, and they go and they beat those guys, right? So if I were to write down, you know, the 3 words, believe is on there. I might say underdog, I might say inspiring, I might say believe, I would say believe. You know, and then if I think about my favorite teacher growing up, Madame Farr taught me French, but I don't even use my French. Like, French isn't even that valuable for the work that I do. Why do I love Madame Farr? Well, because she believed in me, because she would meet with me once a week when I was in my graduating year, and she just asked me about my life, how I was doing in school. I was introverted, I was shy. You know, it was harder for me to make friends and feel like I fit in and belonged. And so for her, I might put belong. I would definitely put believe, and I might put something else, maybe care or compassion. In those meetings with her once a week turned me from a B and C student into a straight A student, when I didn't think that that was possible for me to do it, because I'd never really gotten A's in my entire school career. So we start to look at the similarities, right? Madame Farr, believe, you know, compassion, etc. Seabiscuit, underdog, believe, right? There's different keywords that will show up, but what's the consistent one? Believe. Ah, that's interesting. It's interesting this keeps coming up. What would happen if I built my whole life around belief? What would happen if I built my business around belief? What would happen if I created a schedule and a calendar and habits and routines that made me feel more belief? What would happen if I could spread that belief to others? What would happen if I brought on team members who loved believe and helped spread believe with their skills and talents? What would happen if I had my significant other believe in me, right? What would happen? How much does life change? It changes everything. It changes everything. Everything changes. Because now I'm designing a life with intent and purpose and with design, as opposed to randomly having things experienced for me, to me. Because everybody's got an agenda for your time. Everybody wants you to do certain things. And that's when you feel lost and being pulled in a million different directions. You have to figure out what you stand for. I think it's the most important thing you can do as a human. What do you stand for? What's your single most important core value? Some people get it right away from the exercises. Some people, it takes some time, and you sit on it, and it becomes more and more right or more and more wrong. But when you find it, and you get that compass, you get that roadmap, it's with you for the rest of your life. It makes every decision easier. It makes you live a lot more in alignment, and makes you feel like what you're doing is important, that it matters. It gives you the confidence and the courage to do the thing that you're afraid to do, to step outside your comfort zone, to build the business and the life that you want, and ultimately to make you happy. To make you happy. And then you can spread that happiness to others and help them believe in themselves too.
I would look at two kinds of people to model from. One, the people who've already made it in your industry. So if you're in software, look at people who are doing software. Like if you're trying to be successful on YouTube, follow other YouTubers. And it doesn't mean you copy and paste, but just to get ideas, to get inspiration, like, oh, that's how they did it. And so apply that into your business. The other people I look to are just people who you look up to. You know, if you want to be a YouTuber, but you love Steve Jobs, you know, there's something you can learn from him. And because you love him so much, he's your favorite entrepreneur, then you'll be able to take lessons and apply that to your business. And so whoever it is that you look up to, you can learn from them and find a tweak to bring that to your industry. It one, gives you specific ideas. So, you know, Bill Gates, partnerships, great, I'm going to apply that. And two, also gives you, at least help for me, it gave me a lot of motivation. Because a lot of these guys, if you look at the heroes you look up to, chances are they started from less than what you already have right now. And so seeing them do it just gave me confidence that, like, why can't I do it? I can do it too. And most people's environments aren't massively supportive. Most people don't have parents telling them, you're going to be a great entrepreneur, keep going. And friends like, wow, you're so good, right? Like most people, I say, their family, their friends like, what are you doing? Are you making money? This isn't going to work. And so it can be hard to be the lone person betting on this dream, and everybody else around you, doesn't get it. And so changing your circle, it's why, these people are behind me on my wall here in my office. You want to have an environment of success. And that is motivating, as well as a tangible kind of how-tos to grow your business.
Treat yourself like you matter. Talk to yourself like you would your best friends. Think about how you talk to other people. Think about, if you're watching this video, if you're a fan of this channel, you are probably pouring into so many people. You're giving them love, you're giving them encouragement, you're giving them belief, you're telling them they can do anything, right? Your friends, even strangers on social media, you're probably telling them that they can do things, right? You're believing in them, you're giving them confidence. But then what happens? You go home, you look in the mirror, and you're just telling yourself all the reasons why you can't do something. That voice inside your own head sucks, right? Telling yourself that you can't make it, that someone like you is never gonna do it. We don't treat ourselves with the same level of compassion, empathy that we have for other people. You wouldn't talk to your worst enemy the way that you talk to yourself. And that's a big problem. I think that needs to shift, that needs to change. Because as long as you keep talking to yourself like you're a piece of garbage, then you're never going to accomplish anything great. We have to start to shift it. I had a whole bunch of issues in how I talk to myself. I used to say, well, I'm too shy, I'm too introvert, nobody's going to want to hear my story, my message doesn't matter, who am I to go off and do this? I have to have a huge ego. Even I'm sitting here filming in a parking lot. Like I would never do this. Only people with giant egos and loud mouths would ever do that. Right? I'm still working to unwind all of that. But the more you can catch it and the more you can shift it, it allows you to go off and do great things, not just for yourself, but for other people. Because if you fast forward, if the way you've been talking to yourself for the past couple of years continues to be the way that you talk to yourself for the rest of your life, nothing changes. So how do we shift? How do we get to a point where, hey, we're actually saying better things about ourselves? Number one is you have to catch the voice. What is the negative voice? What are you saying to yourself? Because a lot of it it's not intentional. It's these automatic thoughts. It's the subconscious thoughts. You come up with an idea of what you can do and immediately you shut yourself down without even noticing it. It's a default nature. Instantly, boom, no, I can't do that. No, you suck, you can't do that. So what are the negative thoughts that are coming up in your mind? And just trying to catch it. Number two is whatever you want
to have more of, you need to create that in your life. You need to create the habits and routines to have more of it in your life. So for me, I want more belief, right? And I go through this whole process of how to figure out your most important core value or your one word. You can pick up your one word or Built to Serve. It'll walk you through it. What do you need more of in your life? I need more belief. And as much as I'm trying to spread that to the world with the videos and everything I make, I also need more of it myself. I need more belief for myself. And so what helps me believe in myself? Well, I try to design a life and an environment to help bring that out more. So everything from the outfit that I wear, you know, I tell myself I'm a superhero going to work. This is my Believe uniform, just like Batman puts on his costume. From what my office looks like and the pictures on my wall, I've got my parents on my wall, and looking at them reminds me of the message that my mom would always give me, that I'm Advocate Shirley Carmichael, I can do anything and believe that I can. The videos that I make, the main channel, the top 10 channel, this channel, all the content that I make is designed to help me believe in myself more. That's what helps me come alive. Service, you know, thinking about how what I'm going to do will have an impact on somebody else besides me, helps me have the courage to go off and chase down the goals that I have for myself. So what is it that makes you come alive? What do you need more of it in your life? Because you're probably not getting enough of it, right? The thing that you need more in your life, you're not getting enough of it right now. That's why that negative voice is so powerful and default. So think about the people who you're hanging around and the media you're consuming, all of it. You're not getting enough of the thing that you need. So how do you get more of that thing and engineer it, design it so that it's part of your daily calendar, that's not randomly happening in your life, but it's with intent, must happen every day. So number one is catching that voice. What is that voice? Number two is designing that environment and the habits and the routines for yourself so that you're around it constantly. You're changing our environment to be around the thing that you know that you want to be. And then number three is empower people to pull you out of the matrix. You know, empower people to call you out. Empower people to give you feedback. Some of my favorite ways to do it, whenever I'm going to an event or whenever I'm talking to somebody I respect and I need some help, input, guidance, feedback, I'll say, tell me why I suck. Tell me why I suck at this thing. Why do I suck at this? Like, how do I get better? And when I do that, it's because they give me their honest feedback. You know, when you just ask for feedback, people will be afraid of hurting your feelings and you won't get the full info. So I say, tell me why I suck. And they say, well, you don't suck, but here's what you need to fix. I empower the people around me that if I say scary, difficult, or hard, then I have to go off and do the thing just because I said scary, difficult, or hard. I don't want to be the person who plays small. So my son in particular loves this one, right? It's like, Dad, you did it. You said scary. Ah, shoot, okay. Now I have to go off and do it. What are your trigger words? What are the things that make you stay small? And then empower the people around you to call you out on it. So that when you don't catch it, because you won't catch it most of the time, you won't catch it. But when you can't catch it and somebody else can, not being defensive and not putting our guard up and realizing that, hey, this behavior is keeping me stuck. Empowering the people around you to give you the feedback, to pull you out of the matrix, so you can start turning what's subconscious to conscious. If you feel like you're a little bit stuck, if you feel like you know you want to do more and you're capable of more and you want to serve more and help more, and you know that you've got this voice inside you that's keeping you there, and you're struggling with how do I get it from subconscious and automatic negative to subconscious and automatic positive, everything starts to change. You have to treat yourself like you matter. Just imagine that you were actually your own best friend. Just imagine that you came to you with the problems that you're facing. What would you tell yourself? It's probably going to be something loving, something encouraging, something powerful, something positive, not the words that you're actually using to talk to yourself. This doesn't change in a day, you know? It doesn't change in an instant. It's a process. But if every day, day by day, you can slowly start to believe in yourself more, empower yourself more, talk to yourself in a better way, you're going to create a much better life for yourself, and then you can pay it forward and help others. because no matter what words you say, no matter how much you tell people to be positive, again, you're here watching this, you are the most positive person in your family, you're pouring into other people. No matter how much words you use, what they'll be inspired by most is your action. No matter how much you say, hey, love yourself, make this happen, I believe in you. If they see you not believing in yourself, not taking the action you need to take, they'll never be inspired to do it themselves either. They'll be most inspired by the actions that you take when you're afraid and you doubt yourself too. It's time to make a change. Let's make that change today.
Just start. Just start. Like that idea, start, go. Stop finding reasons why you can't win. Stop finding all the roadblocks that are in your way and just get started. I lost a $40 million deal when I was 20 because I had to have the perfect plan. And it was, again, back to fear, too afraid to launch something without the perfect plan. And I lost a $40 million deal because of it. So just start. That thing you think you want to do, great. Find a way to get started on it. You want to make a YouTube channel, pull out your phone and go make your first video today. Just start on your ideas.
Finding your purpose is easy. Finding your purpose, finding your passion, finding what you're meant to do is easy. And I will beat this drum until everybody figures it out, because it's one of the most common questions that I keep getting asked. We're not taught this in school. The people that we're learning from are not people who are living their purpose either. Your purpose, it comes from your pain. That's a simple answer. Whatever you struggled with, whenever you felt the lowest as a human, whenever you felt the most worthless, the most like you didn't belong, that moment, that's your purpose, to help other people who are currently going through that. For optimistic, happy, ambitious people, we usually don't like looking backwards into the pain. If you're the kind of person watching these videos, you're probably the kind of person who's pouring into others, who's loving others, who's optimistic, who's trying to not think about the rain that's happening today, right? Not focusing on the rain, but focusing on the opportunities and the sunshine to come, right? That's probably you. Okay, so the point is not to sit in the previous pain. The point is to use that as leverage for yourself to jump into the next level of life for you. A more meaningful, a more purposeful, a more intentional life. Whatever you struggled with the most, there are millions of people right now who are struggling with the same thing. They're struggling with the exact same thing as you did. And they need your help. They need your guidance, they need your wisdom, they need your story, they need your hope, they need your light, they need your love, they need your energy, they need you to show up. That's your purpose. And that will never get old. That will never get old. That will never get old. Every time you see somebody who is a younger version of you, and you can have a conversation with them, and you can see the hope light up in their eyes, that now they feel like something is possible because they met you. That's a feeling that will never get old. I'll be, 200 years old, sitting in an old age home, still trying to help people believe themselves more, because that's what I struggled with the most. I am still making content. I am still speaking and writing books and creating videos and doing podcasts and shows, and everything I do is because I'm trying to help 19-year-old Evan. 19-year-old Evan who turned down his dream job to start a business, to make $300 a month, to have no self-belief, to feel like I made the biggest decision, the worst decision of my life. Felt like I made the worst decision of my life. Instead of taking that dream job to do this business, it was hooray, euphoria for a couple weeks, and then realized, oh my gosh, this is a lot harder than I thought, and I'm not making any money. Did I make a big mistake? All my friends were making tons of money at those investment banking jobs that I could have had. And I felt lost, and I felt hopeless, and I felt like I made a big mistake. And I was working like crazy, and I was too embarrassed and too ashamed to ask people for help, to let people in. And I didn't believe in myself at all. That's who I love helping. I love helping humans. I want to help humans believe in themselves, but the softest spot in my heart is for entrepreneurs who are trying to get their thing off the ground, because I remember how hard it was for me to get my thing off the ground. And I quit. There was one day that I actually quit on my business partner. And thankfully I went back the next day. Thankfully I didn't fully quit all the way, because I would have regret that. And I think a lot of people do. You end up quitting too soon on your dreams. And so that's who I'm trying to help. With all my content, with all my work, with everything I do, with 12,000 plus videos later, I'm still doing it. People ask me, how do you stay so consistent? How have you made videos for 12 years and have not burnt out? Well, because I love what I'm doing, because I feel like it matters. I don't love the idea of just sitting here in the parking lot of a Costco making a video, but I love the idea that this is talking to you, that, hello, I'm a part of your routine. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And so you can have that too. You know, whatever you struggled with, there are millions of people who are struggling with that right now. And they don't know who to go to. They won't listen to Evan Carmichael because I haven't struggled with the thing that you struggled with. But they'll listen to you because you've been through it. The next part becomes, well, who am I? Who am I to have this mission? Who am I to help these people? I'm still trying to figure it out myself. Do you resonate with that? It's like, who am I to be this person who's gonna help people? I still don't have all the answers myself. And imposter syndrome starts to creep in, right? You ever felt that? There's so many better people out there than you, and you're an imposter for even trying. So the way to combat imposter syndrome is two ways, and leverage both. I've leveraged both and still leverage both because I still feel at times that I'm not good enough and there are better people than me. And so here's the two things that I use. Number one, you see your growth as a staircase. Your growth is a staircase. And you want to climb forever. You don't want to ever stop growing. You don't want to ever stop learning. As soon as you feel like you've stopped learning and stopped growing, you start to really hate your life. You always want to feel like you're growing and learning somewhere. So look at your growth as a staircase. And when you're doing imposter syndrome, what you're doing is looking at the people who are ahead of you on the staircase and saying, oh my gosh, look at that person. They're so much further ahead of me. I suck. Why can't I be like them? Why can't I be like Elon Musk or Oprah Winfrey or Tony Robbins or whoever your heroes are that you look up to and respect and feel like they're so far ahead of you? And because you're not where they are means in your own head, you can't do anything. You can't share your message. You're not worthy enough, right? Well, what you need to recognize is you're still on your staircase as well, but you're not at step 0. If Oprah and Elon Musk are at step 8,000, maybe you're at step 100. Great. But you're not at step 0. You've come a long way. You look back. Instead of only looking forward to see everything that you haven't done yet, look back to see where you've come from. Like, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm at step 100. It's nowhere close to where I want to be. I haven't figured it all out, but I've learned so much more compared to who I used to be. Then understand that most people who are struggling with the thing that you struggled with, they're still at step 0. And you're at step 100. You can help them. You can't help them get to 8,000 level, but you can help them get to step 100 because that's where you're at. Most of the people who are struggling right now are at step 0. And they need a little bit of help, and they need someone to believe in them enough to help carry them to step 1 and step 2 and step 3. It's your job to give them that hope and to give them that momentum. And you can. And the way I like to think about it is every time I take another step up on my journey, you reach back and you help somebody else out who's behind you. Help other people climb on and rise on their journey, because learning alone isn't enough. We want to feel like what we do matters. We want to feel like we're having an impact. That's where purpose comes from. We all want to wake up every day and feel like the work that we do is going to matter to somebody. You want to feel like today's important. I want to feel like today's important. What I tell myself, at least, is that people are going to watch this video and somebody's going to get inspired enough to take some kind of action. For somebody watching this video will be the one that actually pushes you over the edge into action mode. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I hope. It's what I tell myself. And that's how I get the meaning behind doing the work, because I'm just sitting in my car in a Costco parking lot with my dog here, making a video, talking to my phone. But we want to feel like what we do matters. So every time you take a step up on that staircase, it's great to have people who are ahead of us that we learn from and look up to. But every time we take a step up, we pull somebody else up with us. And most people who are struggling are still way, way, way behind you. So you don't have to have all the answers, but you have enough answers to help the people who are at the start. So that's one. If you're struggling with imposter syndrome, we found our purpose. It's to help people who are currently who we used to be, what we used to struggle with. We're trying to figure out imposter syndrome. Step number 1 is the staircase of growth. Step number 2 is imagining you sitting with yourself from 10 years ago. Think about who you used to be 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Like, you've grown a lot. If you're watching this channel, you're subscribed here, you're into personal development, you don't want to stay stuck. You have grown a lot. You have. If not from my content, from other videos, from other books, from other podcasts, you've grown a lot. Like, hey, high five, congrats, that's amazing. So imagine you're going to sit down on the park bench with the you from 5 or 10 years ago. And you've got 5 minutes with that person. You got 5 minutes with former you. Do you think you could share something with them that might inspire them? Do you think you could share something with them that might give them hope or some momentum or a little bit of motivation? Think about what message you might share. And when I've done this with live audiences, they'll say things like, it's going to work out. You're going to be okay. Believe in yourself. You'll get through this. You're stronger than you think. As I ask live audiences, these are the things that they say on the microphone or pop in the chat. And everybody, all of these people who at the beginning couldn't find their purpose and struggled with imposter syndrome, now all of a sudden have absolute clarity and certainty with the message they would tell their younger self. Okay, great. So if you are convinced that you can help younger you, just recognize that there are millions of people who are younger you. If you can help the you from 5 years ago, from 10 years ago, that's what most of the people are struggling with right now. And that becomes your message. Your purpose comes from your pain. You don't need to spend years on a mountain figuring it out. You don't have to spend journals upon journals upon journals. You don't need to hire an expensive coach to help you through this. Your purpose comes from your pain. Whatever you struggled with is the thing you want to help other people through, period. And it will be with you for the rest of your life. And when you can spend the time to figure that out and then do the exercises to overcome that imposter syndrome that will come as your next step, it unlocks everything. It unlocks gratitude, it unlocks purpose, it unlocks happiness, it unlocks fulfillment. Because what it does is give you this well of energy to then go off and do the scary, difficult things, to finally get out of the way of your mind holding you back, telling you that little voice telling you you can't do things, because it's no longer just about you, it's about helping other people. And every time you can shift it from being about you to helping others, it gives you that extra little bit of courage to go off and do the thing. Because you're built to serve, because you want to help, because you got a big mission inside you. And the only difference between where you are now and where you will be in a year is how much momentum and how much belief you create in yourself to make that vision a reality. Most people sleepwalk through life because they don't love what they're doing. You wake up and you don't love what you're doing. You feel like it doesn't matter. You feel like nobody will care if you show up or you don't. And if that was your day, if you today felt like, you know what, it doesn't matter. I show up, I don't show up, I make, I don't make, nobody's gonna really care. If that was not just today, but tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, if that was every day of your life, how sad would your life be? This is why we have so much anxiety and depression and suicide, is because people feel like they don't matter. And we want to matter to others. It's wired into us. We want to feel like we are important. We want to feel like what we're going to do today is going to create some kind of meaning and impact on somebody else's life. We are built to serve. You want to help. It's not enough to want to do something just for yourself. You want to feel like you matter to somebody else today. Most people sleepwalk through their lives, never feeling like they meant anything to anybody, especially in their work. And it's why a lot of people default to entrepreneurship, to try to say, well, here's my chance to be my own boss. Here's my chance to live my own life. Here's my chance to do something that matters without just being some cog in a corporate machine. But unless you connect the work that you're doing to serving and helping other people, you still won't feel great. when I first started in my business, it was really, really hard. Both businesses, but the business where I helped inspire entrepreneurs, and I got asked to speak. And I remember just loving the speaking part. And at the time I was doing a speaking gig a month or so and just wasn't getting enough feedback. I'd go and it'd be amazing. I'd be so nervous and so scared to get up on stage. But then the end would be so amazing, and to see that you help somebody, you know how good it feels to help somebody. You know how good it feels to make somebody smile or laugh or cry, or for them just to say thank you. You know how good it feels when somebody says thank you for what you've done for me today. That is more valuable than whatever they're paying you for your product or service, right? We all want that. That's the good thing to get addicted to. So when I first started speaking and helping, I was getting that once a month and doing a speaking gig, but then I wasn't feeling it throughout the month. This is the hard part of being an entrepreneur, especially at the beginning, where you don't have enough feedback. You're not feeling valuable. It takes too long to get your product to service or service to market to see the action that your customers are getting from it. And so I had to remind myself of what I was doing. I had to remind myself, I made a PowerPoint file where I looked at my comments every day, the feedback that I was getting. Even though it was for 3 weeks ago, I still looked at the feedback again to remind myself of what I was doing was important. When I started my YouTube channel, I didn't get any feedback. I wasn't getting any comments, right? My first video took a year to get 3 comments, and it was my mom, my older sister, and then some random guy. So I wasn't getting a lot of feedback. But I still would look at my comments every day just to feel like, hey, this is important. Like if I got 1 comment a week, I'd be so happy. It's like, yeah, I see that person. I helped that person. I got to keep going. I got to keep making, got to keep creating. And even to this day, it still is among the most important things that I do. I'm pretty in love with Discord right now. I created my own Discord server. You can join Believe Nation. It's evancarmichael.biz. It's free, and I'm in there every morning right now just helping. And it's one of my go-tos right now for how I start my day. I look at my calendar, I set my intention for the day, and then I'll go to my Discord server and start helping people. Because having 1 million views on a video or however many subscribers or whatever does not feel as good as going into Discord server and helping one person believe in themselves a little bit more. So you have to figure out a way to make it not a sleepwalk every day, to make it feel like you're doing something that matters, that you matter, that today is going to matter, that you show up in a way that matters. So let me break down a couple things that I think can help. Number 1 is the big picture has to matter. This is why people struggle in jobs, because you feel like nobody cares, right? This job doesn't mean anything. The company doesn't care if I'm here or not. Even the company's mission isn't that important. You don't feel connected to what you're doing every day. You have to feel connected to the mission. If you're an entrepreneur, it's a lot easier, but you have to be doing work that you actually think matters. A lot of entrepreneurs start a company just trying to make money. You're just trying to pay the bills. You're just trying to make some cash. You're just trying to look at the hot opportunity. And if you can't connect to the reason why you're doing it, the mission, you won't win. The number 1 rule for success is you have to love the thing that you're doing. If you're doing it just to make money, making money is important. It is important. You have to do it. It needs to be in your top 5, but it can't be number 1. What is number 1? You have to design your business that you feel like you're on a mission, that you're here to serve, that you're doing some kind of good, that you may not be there yet, you may not be accomplishing anything close to it yet, but it's the goal, it's the mission that you're trying to go off and achieve. So number 1 is you have to feel like on a big scale, on a macro scale, that if it all plays out, this is going to really, 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 really matter to you, but to other people as well. 2 is the micro wins have to be there. You know, it's the big why and the little why. So the first one is the big why. The big why, what am I trying to accomplish? The second one is the little why. The little why is the daily little wins. You could be inspired by your big why. It could be driving you, it could be fulfilling you, but there will be many days where the big why is not enough. There'll be many days where you feel like you can't do that big why. That who were you to think you could do that crazy big thing? That it's never going to happen, that you're not going to make it, that it's just not worth it. There'll be many days where you feel like that, especially when you don't see any traction or momentum happening. That's where the little whys come into place. The little why is the daily little feeling like, hey, I did something to help one person. I may not be able to impact the world today. I may not be having a life-changing product or service or launch or video or whatever, but I can help one person today. That's why I go to the Discord every morning. That's why I'm in my comments every day, because my big why is to change the world's biggest problem. People don't believe in themselves enough. I'm never going to do it. And there are days where that feels way too big and too scary. I channel that into this, like this video. I want this video to matter. I'm sitting here in the parking lot in my car while Nina's at a pet store getting stuff for the dogs, right? I'm just talking to my cell phone. But I want this video to matter. I want this video to touch you. I want this video to have some kind of meaningful impact, that maybe this is the day, the way that I say the words, the energy that I show up with, maybe, just maybe, this is a day that you finally go off and make some kind of change. Maybe today is the day. That's my sincere hope. And I need to still feel like I'm touching somebody, that talking to my phone is not enough. So going to the Discord server, talking to people, encouraging them, giving them some love, just saying good morning, just helping people. It's crazy, doing DMs in the morning on my Instagram and spending 8 seconds making a video for somebody and then seeing the reaction. Like, you don't know how much this video meant to me, that you would send this. It's coming to me at the right time today. I really needed that encouragement. It took me 8 seconds to do, but it changed somebody's life, right? Is that going to help me grow my subscribers or comments or revenue? No, right? But it feels really good. And you need those little whys. So what are the things that are connected to your big mission, but are really small, but it's a individual that you can help one person? That by you helping one person today, you've got your little why that can give you the motivation to keep going. How do we stop sleepwalking through life, right? Big why. You're on a big mission that you're trying to accomplish something huge. Step 2 is the little why. We feel like today is going to matter to somebody, to one human, even if it doesn't accomplish our big mission. Step number 3 is to pay it forward. You know how good it feels to get a comment, to get a video, to get a personalized message for somebody to help you out. Pay it forward, especially to small creators. My ask for you would be, if there's somebody that you follow, somebody whose journey you're following along with, maybe it's your friend who's posting, maybe it's some total stranger who you found some of their content. Go give them a little love. Go give them a review on iTunes. Go give them a comment on their YouTube or Instagram or wherever you're following them. It means so much. If it's a giant channel or someone who's been doing it for a long time, I don't see all the comments that come in. Don't leave a comment on, leave a comment on the videos, but it doesn't mean as much anymore as it used to, right? Because we get so many, so we're spoiled. So the big creators, don't worry about it. You can, it's always good karma to spread positivity, but if you had to pick for the smaller ones. Because just one person saying, I see you, just one person saying, thank you, just one person saying this message meant something to me, just one person having that belief is the difference quite often between them quitting and them following through. Your single message today to somebody is going to be the difference, I promise you, for somebody. If you do that every day, it will for sure be the difference for quite a number of people between them quitting and them continuing on, because you took 15 seconds to send a quick message to them. So big why, little why, and then pay it forward, especially to the small creators. We got to get out of the sleepwalk, guys. We want to feel like we matter. We want to feel like today matters. We want to feel like the work we do matters. And the best way that you can inspire people, you want to help the people around you, you want to help your community, you want to help your family, you want to help the people who might see you, you want to help people, the best way to help them is for you to stop sleepwalking, is for you to start doing things that matter. It's not for you to just make an inspirational video. It's through your actions that if you showed up today and decided that you're going to remember your big why, that you're going to serve with your little why, that you're going to pay it forward to other people. When you see the impact that can have on their life, it makes you reconnect to why you do what you do. And if you woke up and did the thing that made you remember why you do what you do and you felt it, not just words you're telling yourself, but you genuinely felt it, holy cow, look out, because life starts to get really, really good. The voice inside your head telling you that you can't do something is not your voice. It was put there. It was planted there. It was fertilized there by the people around you, by your parents, by your teachers, by your friends growing up, by society. It was put there. Think about it. When you were born, when you were young, I don't know what your earliest memories are, but you see kids, and everything is possible. You're like, I'm going to be an astronaut, and I'm going to be an architect at the same time. And, my goal growing up, I was going to be a baseball player, play for the Toronto Blue Jays, my hometown team, and I was going to be a police officer in the off season. So be professional baseball player. I love Kelly Gruber growing up, third baseman for the Toronto Blue Jays. And in the off season, I'm going to be a police officer because I love police officers. Everything is possible. Everything is possible to kids. And then what happens? Suddenly we start to get older and we realize that things aren't that way. And we have to be safe and we have to be practical and we have to be smart. And that message gets drilled into us. And it could be your parents, it could be your friends, it could be the school system, it could be the media, it could be society. There's lots of it. Think about the people who are giving you the advice. Think about the people. That's why it's so valuable. Think about the people telling you that you can't do something. And how many of those people genuinely love their life? The people telling you that you can't do something, how much of them actually love their life? Not a lot, right? They don't. What gives them the authority to tell you that you can't do it? Some people will do it out of fear. It's love, but fear, right? Maybe your mom's telling you can't do something, but she loves you, probably. She's telling you because she wants you to be happy. She's telling you because she's afraid. She's telling you because if you go off and do something that doesn't work, what's going to happen to your life? She's living from a place of insecurity, right? But it's love. And some people do it because of jealousy. They tried to live their dream. They took their shot and it didn't work out. And so now nobody else around them is allowed to succeed. Instead of going and taking a second shot, they spend their time trying to tear other people down. But either way, they're not happy. They never lived their life. They never chased after their goals. They never pursued their dreams. And now they're telling you that you can't either. Most people are not happy. Look at any survey, any study, or even just think about it. Think about the people saying no in your life. Does this person actually love their life? Probably a no. So why are we listening to them? And this is a problem because most people don't love their lives, right? And so you're surrounded by it. It's everywhere. It's in everything that you're picking up. And so it takes a conscious effort to start to shift that. And this is why so many people, when they do learn, when they do improve, when you've been on a personal development, personal growth journey, when you learn something, you want to go help the people around you, right? The first thing we want to do, the first instinct is to then bring it to the people around us because we want the world to be better, right? So that voice is not yours. That voice was planted. The mistake is thinking that it's yours. The mistake is thinking that that insecure voice inside your head is actually you talking. It's not you talking. That voice telling you that you suck, that you can't do this, that someone like you will never make it, that's not you. That's not your real voice. That is your parents, that is your school, that is society, that is the media. That's not your voice. That's what you've been conditioned to believe. So how do we start to change it? The goal of this video is not to be, giant conspiracy theory, the world's against us. But it's possible. How do you change it? How do you start to shift it? Well, we need to recognize, one, that that's not your voice. Do you believe that that's your voice? Because as long as you believe that that's you stay small, you stay stuck, you stay listening to it because you're telling yourself that you can't do it. So step one is to recognize that that is not actually your voice. And if you can do the deeper work to figure out, well, whose is it? Whose voice is that? Is that your parents? Is that your brothers? Is that your schools? Is that the media you're consuming? Is that, who is it? Whose voice is that? And why do you still care about listening to that voice? Like, that's some deeper work, but if you figure that out, it'll allow you to stop listening to it. Step 2 is to start to eliminate the things in your life now that make that voice louder. Maybe you're hanging around some people who you shouldn't be friends with anymore. You know, maybe just because you're friends with somebody in high school doesn't mean you should still be their friend now. You know, maybe you've grown apart and now it's time to get some new friends. Okay? Do an audit of the people that you're following on Instagram and on YouTube and any social media, and whatever you're feeding your brain with. Do an audit and think about, are these people, which voice are they empowering? There's a great story about two wolves. You know, I'm going to paraphrase it, but there's two wolves inside you, one who wants the best for you and one who wants to grow and learn and improve and serve and share and be courageous. And the other wolf is scared and afraid and keeping you small and stuck and insecure and weak. And it goes, well, which wolf wins? You know, who's the wolf that ends up carrying the day? And the answer is the one that you feed. So if you feed the wolf all your insecurities and fears and doubts, then that wolf is going to win, and you will be afraid and full of insecurities and doubts. And if you feed the wolf that makes you feel bold and courageous and powerful, then you will become that too. So that process, we need to recondition ourselves by changing the environment, by being around the people who are doing the things that we want to do. So do that audit of the people you follow on YouTube and Instagram, and how much of your time, here's the test, is when you walk away from a video, when you walk away from the app that you're on, do you feel better about yourself? Do you feel bolder, more courageous, more powerful? If you're watching this video, you know, when you watch my channel, do you feel better about yourself? Are you filled with more belief, ready to take on the day? Yes? Great. Hey, I got more videos for you. Stay tuned. No? I sincerely apologize. Because that is not the goal. But then if that is happening, then yes, unsubscribe from me and go follow some other people. You know? And same thing for all the people you follow on Instagram. How many of those people make you feel better? Do you leave your phone feeling better about yourself, more courageous, bold, ready to start the day, or did you just waste a whole bunch of time and feel worse about yourself? Great. Those people, unfollow them. Everybody who makes you feel that way, stop following them and replace them, because I guarantee you that if you look for the light, you'll find the light. It's a good one. You know, if you look for the light, you'll find the light. There are people on every social platform in every part of the world who are spreading kindness, spreading belief, spreading hope, spreading possibility. They exist everywhere. It's not common. It's not the default yet. That's why lack of belief, I believe, is the world's #1 problem, because it's not default yet. But there are people spreading the light. Find them. Be around them. Hang out with them. Collect them. Learn to collect good people. It'll shift everything. So you've got a real important decision to make. Do you listen to your heart? The feeling that you want to do more and serve more and help more and be more and create more? Or do you listen to that voice that's not your voice inside your head telling you all the reasons why you can't do it? It's a choice. You have to decide which wolf you're going to feed. Both wolves exist inside you. The insecure wolf and the powerful wolf. And either one could win. It'll dramatically change your life which one you feed. You just have to decide which one are you going to feed today.
That idea that you have, find a way to get started on it right now. Trust your ideas. Trust that if you got this idea, it came to you for a reason. It's a great idea. You have to do something about it. Coming up with ideas and then writing down, you know, in your notebook or email or whatever, your list of ideas, you're never going to attack that list of ideas. Your list of ideas is just going to build and build and build and build and build and grow. How do you attack it? By doing. So what you need to do is, when you get an idea, most people, what they'll do is they'll make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. The idea, like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. Oh, and then from that, I can have big guests come on my show. And then from that, I can then build a huge email list. And then from that, I can run my own conferences. And from that, I can do, and then you make this some giant thing. But the bigger it is, the more impossible it is to start. Now you need a team. Now you need financing. Now you need all the skills and training that you don't have. And you think, well, I can't do that. Instead, you switch and just say, what can I do right now?
So whether you want to start a YouTube channel or make a song or write a book or create a podcast or whatever idea you have, start by just starting right now. Don't worry about the perfect first step, because in trying to be perfect and come up with that perfect first step, you're doing the biggest sin of all, which is not doing anything.
Sometimes you need to slow down to speed up. Sometimes you need to take a pause. You need to take it easy. You need to take a step back from what you have been doing to say, well, what do I want? And does this still serve me? Is this still the life that I want to be building? Am I still building something that I'm happy with or not? And this is where a lot of entrepreneurs struggle, because we are very goal-oriented, right? Raise your hand if you're goal-oriented. Is that you? You've got goals. You want to go off and accomplish them. We're achievers, and achievers get their self-worth and self-value from hitting their goals and checking the things off their list to say, I did that, I accomplished that. When people ask me what my 10-year goal for myself is, I don't know. How are you supposed to know what you're going to look like in 10 years? Think about who you were 10 years ago. Do this as a quick exercise. Think of who you were 10 years ago. Who were you 10 years ago? What were your goals? What were your aspirations? What were your ambitions? What were your dreams? Could you, with any certainty, with any degree of certainty, predict that you're going to be here 10 years later? If the you from 10 years ago was making a 10-year plan for yourself, is this where you would end up? Probably not. No, right? Not if you're growing, not if you're learning, not if you're improving, not if you're watching channels like this and you're investing into yourself. The idea that you would be here is crazy, because a lot of the stuff didn't exist, and because you've grown and learned yourself. And so there's nothing wrong with having plans. I think they're great. I think having goals speak to your ambitions, but you have to be willing to jump off course when it no longer serves you. The danger of having a 10-year goal for yourself is you're thinking small. Anybody who has 10-year goals for themselves are thinking small, because you have no idea what you're capable of in a 10-year window, and you have no idea how the world's going to change in the next 10 years. So if you could hit your 10-year goal, but it's tiny compared to what you could have done if you're a little more flexible, right? So you have to be willing to jump off your 10-year plan to go do something else because you're being called to it. And that's where slowing down really helps. Do you get great ideas in the shower? I get great ideas in the shower. Do you get great ideas on vacation? I get great ideas on vacation. Do you get great ideas walking through nature? One of my favorite things to do, walking through nature. When I walk through forests, just a quiet walk with the dogs, I get ideas. I get great ideas. I get great ideas on drives. I've started great businesses off of different drives. I started a business with Bo, who's an entrepreneur I invested into. Now it's a mid-six-figure business because I was going on a hike through the forest, and then I was driving home, and it was about an hour and a half drive, and I was reflective. And for some reason, this is how it comes. This is why slowing down really matters. For some reason, I'm thinking about Bo in the car. I may not have thought about Bo for a couple months. Why am I thinking about Bo all of a sudden? All of a sudden, it just comes. I want to start a business with Bo. We're going to start an agency together where we book guests on people's shows. And now we've done that. He books some of the biggest guests in the world for my channel. He booked Mel Robbins, he booked Matthew McConaughey, he booked Deepak Chopra. He's booking all sorts of crazy guests for my channel, and he does it as a service for other people to book great guests for their shows too. And he's passionate about helping people launch their shows and get great conversations and build their brands and spread an amazing message out to the world. And so we started this business, and he quit his job, now has a mid-six-figure business doing this because I went for a walk and had a drive and then called him or sent him a message. And that's how a lot of the great things have happened to me in my life. A lot of the great ideas, the next ventures, the innovations and the breakthroughs come from slowing down. The overscheduled entrepreneur doesn't come up with great ideas. The overscheduled entrepreneur might be really efficient. If you jam-packed your calendar, you might be really, 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 really efficient, but you really reduce your effectiveness. And so life will go through these ebbs and flows, these ups and downs, and you'll have these moments where all you need to do is get work done. There's been many times where I don't need any new ideas right now. I just need to execute on what I've got in front of me many times. And so being efficient really, really, really matters. But when you then move to a place of, oh, we see some friends. We move to a place of creativity where it becomes about coming up with the next invention, the next new thing, the next place that you want to go, right? Then you have to be having chunks in your time, in your calendar, that you can allow yourself that freedom. So if I look at my day, my calendar, where I spend my time, I like having 1 day per week to be project day. So Wednesdays for me are project day, where I have the whole day to work on whatever projects I want to work on. And then Friday I call CEO day, where I get to work on the big picture things to grow my business. And one of my favorite things to do on Fridays when it's not too super freezing outside here in Canada is go for a walk to start the day. Go for a walk, clear my head. I've got the whole day ahead of me to be the CEO of my business, and I ask the question, what does that look like? What does being the CEO look like? What's the next version of Evan Carmichael? And I often come up with fantastic ideas. Not all the time, sometimes you just go for a walk and it was great to clear your head and you get some fresh air and that's all that came from it. And sometimes you get fantastic ideas because you took the time to slow down and have that in your calendar. So a couple things. How do we start to execute and put this as part of our regular routine? Because what most people do is you wait for your life to break before you make a change. You wait for life to get so bad that something happens. Most people don't go on a diet and fix their health until they have a heart attack, right? Like you don't actually make a change until something breaks and forces you to change. But you don't have to hit rock bottom. You don't have to be in that negative a situation. You can be a little more proactive, and slowing down allows you to do it. So a couple steps. 1, put time in your calendar every week to have a little bit of reflection. Doesn't have to be a whole day like I do on Fridays, but a walk. Put a 20-minute walk, a half an hour walk. It's good. It's good anyway to get a little bit of cardio. It's good anyway to get outside and get some fresh air. But book in a half an hour walk once a week, at least somewhere in your calendar, where you're not just on your phone and you're not just stressing about what has to get done, but you have time to actually just be by yourself and watch suddenly as solutions come to you, right? So 1, put that 30-minute walk somewhere in your calendar once a week. 2, pay attention to where you don't love the things in your life anymore. Quite often there's things that we started with and we're energizing and enthusiastic about and we love doing and it was filling us up with energy and then slowly became a job. I think especially as entrepreneurs, we love starting things. We love the beginning of something, right? Is that you? Hands up. Is that you? You love starting something from scratch. You love building, but then we don't love maintaining. We don't love keeping it. We don't love the ongoing work with it, right? There's a lot of entrepreneurs. And so it's me too. And so at that point, when you stop loving as much of the day-to-day grind on it, you still love the idea of it. You still love doing the high-level work around it, but you don't love doing all of the itty-bitty stuff. You either have to let that thing go or you hire somebody to help you with it, right? It's either gotten to the point, for me, it's either gotten to the point where I can now hire somebody because it's gotten to the point where it's monetizable and I'm making some money from it. Maybe not huge money, but enough to bring somebody on to help with it. Or I didn't, it failed, it's not making money, and I don't like it anymore, and so you have to drop it. And this is again where our 10-year goals let us down because we might be super excited by it. It's like, okay, in 10 years, I'm gonna build this thing up. But the actual path needs to be actually 6 months in, you gotta jump off that and go do something else because you don't love it anymore and you didn't build it up big enough. So step 1 is do our 30-minute once a week walk, get some fresh air and some time for yourself. And then step 2 is think about what are some of the things, the areas in your life that you're not happy with anymore, that maybe used to bring you value, but not anymore. You don't love the process of it. And how do you start to offload it? Because part of coming up with new ideas and creativity is unloading the things that are filling up space in our head, in our calendar. And chances are there's lots of stuff that fills up space in here and space in your actual calendar that don't actually serve you anymore and maybe never did. And it's time to let them go. Either just drop them, slowly pass them on to somebody else, or hire somebody to help you with it. As you build and as you grow, you're going to have to let go of things. There's a great example, a friend of mine who started his business. He has a hard time saying no to people. You know, is that you? I have a hard time saying no to people too. He's a hard time saying no to people. And as his business built and grew and became more successful, the demands on his time became more and more pressing. And he had to choose, okay, where is my time going to be spent? And some of the people that he used to spend time with, or some of the organizations that he used to donate some of his time with, he couldn't do everything. So now it's time to reprioritize. And so inside of that, he said, well, where do I want to be spending my time and with whom? And he had to let some of those organizations go. It's sad, it's hard, but he had to let some people go and let some of the organizations go because it wasn't either the most effective use of his time, or two, the most fulfilling. Like, there's nothing wrong with doing volunteer work or helping people, but it's got to feel fulfilling to you. And we're constantly playing that game. Like, where you spend your time, with whom, on what projects, is the game for the rest of your life. You're just leveling up the size, the impact, the amount of care, the amount of good that you can create. And so, again, the overscheduled entrepreneur is not very creative, is not coming up with life-changing, life-breaking decisions. So step one is to schedule in that time, to get out there, do your walks, allow some freedom for new things to come to you. And then step two is doing that audit of your life, of where things no longer serve you, of where your 10-year plan has fallen apart and needs to be fixed, so you don't wait for life to completely break on you before you decide to make a proactive change forward.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome.
For 10 more amazing rules from Gary Vaynerchuk, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I try to be great, but deep down, I don't have to keep up a facade. Content, happy, at peace. All of those three things are way better than a verified account with tens of millions of followers, way better